Hi guys, welcome back to the Tegiwa YouTube channel. Today we're joined by Tino off of FaithlessEmo Racing. You may have seen him before with his GR Yaris. He brought it down today to Tegiwa, and we are fitting a Zestek steering wheel hub to the GR Yaris. So there aren't any installation instructions out there, as we've figured. So this is going to be like the how-to guide on how to fit it. We've got the OMP Targa 330mm steering wheel. We've got the Works Bell steering wheel boss. So this is specific for the GR Yaris. Then we've got the steering wheel hub there. So excited to crack on with it.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be interesting. This is a good, unique solution, I think, to the steering wheel on the GR Yaris. I think a lot of modern cars, you have a problem with, you've got a lot of buttons on there. So anytime you do an aftermarket wheel, you lose buttons, you lose functionalities. It's nice daily. You've got CarPlay, things like that. You don't want to lose those kind of functions. So I think this is a good, elegant solution to that.
You mentioned off camera before we started filming about the OEM wheel and your time at angles.
Yeah. So I don't know about you guys and girls out there, but I know when I'm driving, especially aggressively or on track, I tend to use your wrists quite a lot to push around the wheel. And on the GR Yaris, a lot of the buttons are right on the edge of the wheel, and you end up cycling through multimedia functions and volume controls when really you want to see the vital statistics of the car and how it's behaving. So I think this is going to be interesting. I know a lot of people do sometimes even complain about the distance with the GR Yaris wheel. So being able to customize it with a wheel of your choice, get that right feeling, even with the boss there, bring it a bit closer to you if you need it. I think that's going to be a game changer as well.
We've filmed this for our Civic FL5, so we did the same sort of video on that, but the big thing for me on this, it's quite an expensive kit. Altogether, it's about 1,500 quid all in. The cost is on our website, which we'll display here. It's a great theft deterrent, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
That you can pop the whole steering wheel off, go and put it in your house, and you know, if you've got the bad people sniffing around your car at night, then yeah, hopefully it's enough of a deterrent to put them off. But yeah, I kind of like it for that reason.
And it also comes with a great PC app. Like you're able to map all the functions to any of the buttons on here. You can control colours of the LEDs on there as well. And I think there's more buttons on here than you've got on a standard car. So you've got plenty of scope for improvements and changes on there as well.
And as you'll see later, like it really is a really easy piece of software to use when we get to that later. But
do you want to start with the steering wheel?
Yeah.
Have a quick butchers?
Going to unbox it. I'm going to let Tino do the honours because it's his
thank
kit.
You. Oh, nice bit of OMP, classic Italian brand.
So this is the steering wheel that's recommended with this kit. 330mm is like a nice diameter. Usually smaller than the OEM ones. They're about 350mm, aren't they? So it provides a nice feel on track.
There we go. So nice solid construction there, like an Alcantara Racetech kind of feeling there. So you're going to have plenty of nice grip on there. And the great thing about this is if you change your mind, change your position, this just pops off the actual hub and pop on a different wheel anytime you want. If you want different colours, all sorts.
So do you want to do the honours with the boss? So this is from Japan, which is cool because it's a Japanese car.
So comes with. You went to Japan recently, didn't you? And
yeah.
I hear you're fluent. So.
Yeah. Cheers, mate.
We have a certificate of authenticity as well with a nice little logo on there. We have the actual boss, all the fixtures and fittings there. That's the actual section that will actually go onto the actual steering column, and then got a little cover over there as well. And we also have a couple of wires there. So I think you can use this with the stock wheel.
Yeah, does this bring it out a little bit?
Yeah,
further?
so I know there has been a few people do steering wheel bosses on there just to bring the wheel a bit further, because some people do complain about the seating position in there. At the moment we do have a SW Motorsport lowering brace that you can get from Tegiwa online. So that's lowered the seat, and if you need to bring the steering wheel a bit further forward, you could just go for this boss here, and these wires would allow you to continue using the horn and things like that.
That's one thing about the GR Yaris, isn't it? The seating position. A lot of people complain about with the seat that you mentioned. There's a gap between the mirror and the screen. So reduce alloy mirror.
Riser, that's on there as well.
Yeah, I think.
From Tegiwa?
Yeah, that's right. So this is just going to aid in the overall driving position, isn't it?
Yeah.
But let's unbox the exciting bit that we all came to see.
Right, so here's a Zestek hub. So nice bit of unboxing. There we go. There we go. We have a little brochure. What we got in there? Basically, an itinerary of all the parts that should be in there and parts that you may need. There are some adjustments for the paddles. And a little bit of instructions there. I think these are fairly generic instructions, but yeah, there's definitely the most important part.
Have fun. Yeah. There's no point doing it if you're not going to.
Yeah, exactly. And then your favourite part, you love a bit of stickers, don't you?
I love stickers, yeah. So
Give me a sticker critique.
Okay, so these are really good because they're like 3D gel, sort of embossed, and you can pop these onto your steering wheel, onto your car, whatever. But yeah, they're nice.
Yeah,
I
multiple
like
multiple colours, multiple sizes for every.
The world is your oyster when it comes to customization.
And then we also have the stickers actually for the wheel. I think compared to the FL5, the FL5 ones were glossy, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, these are like a matte finish.
Yeah, yeah, they're not a nice finish on there, and that's probably going to enhance the look there. I suppose you're not going to get any reflections.
These are nice. These weren't on the FL5 one, but you see like the red gradient, so it's like darker at the top. So at night they're going to look, look, see the red there.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
And you got a full, complete selection of all the stickers you could need for pretty much all the OEM functions. Yeah. Down here we have right. Should we leave the best bit to last?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's tease. Right. What we got here? We have. Okay, so this is the actual bit that makes the magic work, which is the little PCB that gets sandwiched in between. One of the things I think Zestek have done really well is this gets sandwiched on the boss and gets left in the car. So as far as the car's concerned, the steering wheel's still connected, so it allows you to take that wheel away. You can do whatever you need to do with it, and the car's not going to throw airbag lights or warning lights.
Yeah, the thing, if it's anything like the FL5 one, there's a little like block that you put in, and then that tells the car that it's always there. But this is the bit that makes it a GR Yaris kit, so that's specific to this car, where you buy one for your Golf, you'll get a different sort of board.
Yeah. And down here we have a selection of wiring. We've also got the resistor for the airbag. So we do lose out on the airbag on this car, which to some people that might be a difference, but I suppose if you're driving sensibly, it's not going to be too much of an issue. If you ever go more hardcore and go harnesses and the full roll cage, it won't make any difference there for you. We've then got all the mounting hardware and a supplied Allen key, a USB-C cable.
Yeah, so that connects from your laptop, so you can plug in the hub to your computer.
Perfect. And then the final piece of the puzzle. There we go. And that feels absolute quality. That's the hub.
Yeah.
We're gonna that will stay connected to the steering column with that PCB, and then the actual hub is just there. Fantastic sound. Can you hear that?
Yeah. It's a real premium click, isn't it?
Yeah. Looking on the website, they're exploring sim racing as well, and this definitely feels like an upmarket sim racing steering wheel. Like, this is not a Logitech kind of style steering wheel. This is your high end. You can see we've got rotary encoders in here. These all feel great. Oh, this makes you feel like a fighter pilot, won't it?
Yeah. I mean, Tino was saying off camera that there's a chance that he may be going anti-lag, so
yeah, it's
going to be sick if he flick.
Yeah.
I can do that impression again if you want.
Go on. So yeah, you can map any of the functions that you got on the wheel. I think they twist as well as go left and right, up and down, don't they?
Yeah.
So you've basically got almost 2 joysticks on there as well as rotary. Wow, that's really nice quality.
I'm going to hand it over to Tino now, who's going to spend an hour.
An hour.
Taking the OEM steering wheel off and getting all these bits on, because you're the man with the brains and I'm the man with the, I don't know.
Thanks for the pressure.
Good luck to you now.
Yeah.
I'll come and see you when it's done.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Let's try and get this sorted then. So the first thing we need to do is just disconnect the battery. Some say you don't need to disconnect the battery. An airbag can't go off by itself, but better safe than sorry. So battery's in the boot, so let's go and do that first. So the battery's just underneath the boot carpet here, so we can just pop this off. There we go, and then we just need a 10mm on the back of there. Right, and we're just going to prop that out of the way, just so there's no electricity in the system. So next thing we need to do is take the actual airbag centre out. Now that can be a little bit tricky, but there's a little bit of perseverance. You can do it. Flathead screwdriver, there is 3 holes, one on left and right and one on the, oh, where is it? Left of the centre. What you want to do is put the screwdriver in, and there's a spring that you're going to kind of push against, and it should pop it out. So it can be easy once you've done it a few times, but it can be a little bit tricky. So let's give it a shot. It's like fumbling around in the dark. There we go. So that popped there. So I had the screwdriver flat to me as I'm looking at it, and kind of a 30-degree angle, and pushed it in, and then as you can see it's popped out that side one there. So we'll do the same on the other side. There we go. So that one again flat to me, so I'm looking at it flat like this and went straight in. And then the final one is to the left of the center part, and it should be fairly similar. There we go. And that releases the airbag. What I will do is, once we've got the airbag out of the way, we'll cut to a close-up to show you what it looks like from the inside, so you've got an idea what's happening. So to disconnect this airbag, we've got a couple of connectors. The airbag this is the pyro section, so this should just pop up. There we go. There we go, and that just comes out. And then the next one is this spade connector here, which should just be pushed on, so we should be able to wiggle it off. There we go. That came undone eventually. And we do also have a secondary, looks like some sort of clip here, which is actually holding the wiring onto the airbag. So this little plastic clip here. So to remove this little plastic clip, there's a little plastic nubbin in the center. If you just push that up, it disengages it, and then you should be able to pull this off. And that should be the airbag out and complete. So when you are doing it, as I say, keep the blade flat up and down, and then you go in, and then as you can see, there's the end of the blade, the screwdriver just here. If you go too far, you want to kind of come back, and you're going to push against that and pop it out. Same on the other side. When you push the screwdriver in, if you go too far, you can see there is an empty void in there. We want to come back and just push against this there. And it needs to be pushed about that much. And again, we're keeping the screwdriver flat to us, so it's on the plane. And then the same on the left hand side. As you push the screwdriver through, you can see here, I've gone past the spring. You need to come back and keep it nice and straight and push against the spring there. So the next thing to do is we need to get this central nut off. I believe it's a H10, a hex 10 bolt. So let's just try that. It is. Now, when you do this, you want to loosen it, but you don't want to put too much pressure on the steering lock. So let's try and hold this. Oh, there we go. That should be now loose. So that is the bolt out, but what we're actually going to do is I'm just going to pull it back in and just pull it in a couple of turns so that we can take the steering wheel off without it coming back into our face. Oh, it's nice and loose anyway. That is one big bolt. So before we can take off the wheel, there is a little connector just at the top here that looks like that needs to come off because that's holding the actual wiring on. So let's see if we can pluck that out. There we go. Right, compared to the Honda FL5 that was done on the channel earlier, this needs a little bit of extra wiring. So it's not as plug and play as the FL5. So to do that, I'm going to take off the steering column cowling here to access it down here. So it should be a couple of Phillips screws. And And there should be one down below here, almost straight on. There we go. So now we have access to the wiring. It is apparently one of these connectors down here, and we'll just try and figure out. Just be careful to, again, not rotate the clock spring too much. So it should be this little black box here. If we pull this down, that should come down. There we go. And where we want to pin it in is this empty block just here. So there's two empties on the right hand side, a light blue and a white, and then there's one in here. This is where we're going to be placing the cable that came with the Zestek kit. Already has a connector on the end there, so it should just slide in there. Let's try sliding this in here. There we go. That's gone all the way in. So we have an extra wire there. And then we're just going to fit that back into the original location. So the wiring, what we're going to do, we're going to pop it down here for now, and we're going to finish that up later. We're going to do the physical install and then do that last bit of wiring, last section. So let's go on to now fitting the small wiring harness on here, and that just plugs into a provision just at the top there, like Toyota already expected it to go into there. Once we've put this little harness in there, we can also put in the airbag resistor, which is like a little top hat kind of guy or girl, and just pushes it into there, and it kind of holds in by friction. It doesn't matter if this is loose, it just kind of holds in by friction. What we'll do now is we'll put the adapter boss back on there. I'm going to leave the cowling off just for now. So we have the adapter boss that we torqued up the screws on there. Remember, there's a gap there for this little block here, and the wires are going to go over the top and then out here. We've got quite a few extra wires, so we'll feed through the airbag and the horn to start with, and then we will feed through the actual Zestek adapter harness as well. It's a little bit fiddly. There we go. And then we're just going to slide this on, trying to keep it straight. There we go. Next up, we'll pop in the big bolt that holds all the steering wheel on. We will thread that on there. So it can be tricky to torque this up with nothing to hold on to. So you can just temporarily fit the steering wheel. We've just popped in a couple of bolts. This is what it would be like if you just ran a steering wheel boss, and then we can tighten up this to 60 Newton meters. So now the boss is on, you can see on this boss, it's really handy. They have actually put this little dot at the very top here, so you know it's centralized. So that is kind of handy because you can't really see a lot in here. Now, next thing we want to do is connect up the spade horn, the spade for the horn, but this here is a little bit loose. So what I'm just going to do is just crimp these down, tighten them up so we can push this on here. So you can see I've just pushed that down on there just to give it a bit more gripping power. And that just slides in there. Now the great thing of having this hub is it means there's plenty of space on the inside here. So what we can do is just tuck this wiring in here. We've got the airbag resistor in there as well. And that just sits nice and neatly in there, and it's out the way. It's not going to get caught on anything. Next up, we're going to connect the hub of this, which is going to be the connector to the sandwich plate. So this is the Zestek sandwich plate here. So this is the front side that will be facing you, and this is the rear side. We've got a couple of little ports here. Now these two cables, there's a longer one and a shorter one, and they match up with a longer one and a shorter one. So let's plug this on here. There you go. Now, no need to be too rough with it, just nice and gentle. It's a piece of electronics. If you can, always try and hold the PCBs by the edges of them. That just gives them a little bit of protection from you and any static. So this is the actual adapter which the wheel will quick release onto. These are the pins where they communicate, and you can see the quick release. Now the quick release is almost like a door shaped. It's curved at the top, more square at edges. So this is going to be your top, and this is going to sandwich in here and then sandwich onto there. So what we've got to do is connect this up, and then we'll pop a few screws on there. The Zestek actual quick release only has one way of the connector going on again. So that can just go into there and connects up. And then we want to keep that at the top. Remember, we've got that little dot on the actual boss, and then this can be placed on here. Now you fit the provided M5 screws, little hex nuts on there, Now, you don't need to go crazy with torque values on this because we are sandwiching a PCB after all. It just needs to be enough to hold it on tight. You'll see. Now, when you tighten these up, it's handy to spread the load, so you don't want to do them all tight on one side. So I tend to just get it until you feel a bit of a bite and then move over to the other side. There we go. I'm just going to go around and just nip them all up. Make sure they're tight, but we don't want to go silly. There you go, and that's on there solid. So next up, we're just going to make up the wheel. So there's a couple of pre-supplied hex bolts in here. We're going to whip those off, take off this faceplate. This faceplate, perfect for customization. If you wanted to have your car logo, your personal logo or anything like that on there, that would be great. So we'll whip this off, and then we're going to place the wheel on here and make sure that that's all ready to roll. This plate here is just a piece of carbon fibre, so you could even laser engrave that. So there are two different size bolts that come in the kit. So there's a shorter one and a longer one. So you need to find out which one works for your wheel, depending on what wheel you got. Because of course you could have a deep dish wheel if you are, say, if you had a drift Yaris. This is all real carbon fibre as well. This is not plastic covered carbon fibre. So we've used the shorter bolts here, so you can see it doesn't interfere with the quick release mechanism. If you use the longer ones, then it's going to rub against here. You're not going to be able to get the wheel off. That is a thing of beauty. That it feels amazing in your hands. Like, if only I had a sequential GR Yaris X-Track. If you're watching, send it out. Right, shall we try and fit this? Wow. We've got the base mocked up. So what we're going to do, we haven't got this wired up yet. So before we commit to this, what I'm just going to do is reconnect the battery and just make sure everything's still working. Everything is connected. There's no issues from the car. The car is perfectly happy with the steering wheel being on here, which is a great first sign. What we now need is to get some accessory power to power up the steering wheel. Oh man, that sound feels so much better in the hands. So what we're going to do now is the steering wheel is basically fitted and installed and works perfectly fine as a steering wheel. We took it for a test drive. Now what we need to do is actually get the electronics wired up, so it needs a switched power. So that's some kind of power that comes on when the accessory switch is turned on, but not constantly on, because we don't want it to drain our battery. So what we're going to do is go underneath the glove box in the GR Yaris, and there should be a little fuse box, and then we can tap into a switched live in there. There we go, that comes out. There's just 3 little clips along this flimsy piece of plastic, and then it kind of just slides out. So that's nice and simple. Underneath there, on the right next to the pillar, there is a little fuse box with a little fuse box cover. That should just pop off as well. Okay, so now we're actually going to wire up the wheel. Everything's working on the wheel, and we've test drove it, and it works mechanically fine, but none of the buttons work. Car's perfectly fine with it, so that's a good sign. The hub is working. So we've taken out the glove box bit, and we've taken off the fuse box cover here. Now we've got this fuse here. This second one up, the 7.5 amp, is USB number 1, which powers your USB port, and it's right next to a blue 15 amp fuse. So we've got the little adapter that we purchased separately. As I mentioned before, it's not a slimline one. A slimline one would be better, but we can always retrofit that. It just means that we're not going to be able to put the cover on for the meantime. That wire comes out, and it goes to an extension cable. Now, it looks like the Zestek one comes ready for a left-hand drive, where the fuse box would be down here by your knee and reaches perfectly fine. But as we're on the right-hand side over in the UK, we're going to just have to move that cable across. It's really handy if you have got a voltmeter, because that can help. What we've done to try and troubleshoot any issues, we've worked our way along, checking we've got 12 volts accessory each way. So we checked that we got it at the fuse, checked that we got it at here, and then we worked our way across. So we know we've got 12 volts accessory to here, and then we make sure that we match it up here. We can just do a quick touch test, and as you can see, the whole steering wheel lights up in its default configuration. Now, default configuration does mean all the buttons are a horn, but that at least know that all the buttons are working. If you do have any issues, make sure you got your 12 volts here. If not, what you can do is check the next port across. And if you remember the little connector that we connected up down the bottom here, there's this red wire that goes in there. What you want to do is make sure you've got 12 volts here. If not, you want to make sure this is seated all the way in, because it does need pushing in and probably a bit further than you expect. You may need something long and thin to just push that pin all the way home. You can do it by just disconnecting this plug and just testing the volts again there. If you've got 12 volts there, fantastic, now you've got power to the column. Now we know this works, what we're going to do is find a way of routing this through the car in a nice safe manner, nice clean way, and make sure we can get power from one side to the other. So let's try and figure that out. So we've decided on the routing. We just basically mocked up lightly. The fuse adapter does have a direction. So if you don't get power 12.5 volts at the other end, flip it around the other way, because there is a slight direction. In the case of our adapter, the cable actually points this way. We'll do a little cutaway so you can see. But the cable can go up, and there's actually a gap in the carpet right there, and there's a straight shot straight across the transmission tunnel, and you can see the carpet on the other side. If we go to the other side, we'll show you what we mean. So hopefully you can see down here, you can see the cables come back from the other side. Now what we can do, we can route this up into here, near where the ventilator is. Now my hope is we're going to run this down the side of the steering column. You want to be careful to keep it away from any moving parts. So we're going to keep it where the factory wiring is. We're going to wire it down there and then do a crimp connection on there. Use a bit of loom tape and maybe even zip ties just to keep it in place. And that should make sure the connection's good and proper. There you go, that's a nice solid connection. Now we just need to tidy it up a little bit. So this little panel should go back on. As you see, we've routed the cable up out the way, which is important when you've got passengers. You don't want somebody to kick a cable and disconnect your steering wheel. It will still physically connect it, but it won't electronically. As you can see, that fits up in exactly the OEM place, and there's no hanging wires there. We've done the same on the other side, made sure all the wires are out of the way and they're not going to get caught or tangled, and they're not near anything moving. So let's just double check it all works, and then after that, we'll get mapping our steering wheel. So as you can see, we're still here, all lit up still, and all the buttons are still working. So that's fantastic. This is installed. You could just use this how it is, but of course I've got no control over multimedia or anything like that. So we'll take it to the bench, we'll plug it in, and we'll have a mess around with the app. So now the steering wheel is done and dusted, it's fitted, it works fine. What we can now do is play with the app. So the great thing about this is I didn't know you could take the wheel off and connect it to the app without it connected to the car. Myself, I don't have a Windows laptop. This is one I borrowed from Tegiwa. I've got a PC, so I was thinking I was going to have to sit on the drive connected to my PC. I don't. So now we can actually get on to playing with the app. So the app is downloadable from the Zestek website. Free download, nice and simple. There's one for a CAN version, which is if you were running an aftermarket ECU. This is the one for the GR Yaris. So all we do is supplied USB-C cable, just goes into the back of the hub. Computer right away recognises it, and then we've got select your car. Now there are loads on here. We've got everything from the FL5 that you would have seen on the channel already, to VWs, BMW F Series, Porsches, RX-8s, other Toyotas, even things like Huracans and GTRs, GR Corollas for you guys over in the States and in Australia. And we want a GR Yaris. So we're going to select that and press start. Maintenance period. Okay, so that's, I assume, activated our warranty. Wow, okay, so now you could literally spend hours upon hours on this. What's quite interesting, you do have daytime and nighttime. Remember, your car will automatically dim a lot of the interior lights and make them brighter for in daytime and dimmer during nighttime. So that's nice that this has got a facility here. Okay, so these are startup lighting sequences. So you've got effect 1, which is just literally just a strobe on. Effect 2 kind of does a wave across the wheel. Got a few more on here from top to bottom. Oh wow, that's pretty cool, like a little clockwise and counterclockwise. And that's just all over the shop, by the looks of it. We'll start with that one. Now you've selected your startup sign, now you can literally just go through and select a button, and then you can choose a color. So let's see if we just change this to a red. Straight away that changes on the wheel there, and we can save that. And then from this drop down menu, you can literally choose any of the OEM functions that you've got. So muscle memory is a thing, so I think it'd probably be best if we kind of copy over a similar sort of layout to what's on the OEM wheel. So I'll go and grab that and we'll see if we can figure this out. Now we've mapped that top button there to the cancel button, and that should now be mapped and it's red on there. That can also be mapped to things like the paddles. So if we map this to a cancel, I know you guys and girls running a Ecutech map, you'll be able to map that now to rolling anti-lag. So you'll be able to pull this, hold foot to the floor, and it'll build boost while in a straight line, which is absolutely nuts. So this one is a slightly different button compared to this. This is just an on-off button, but this not only has rotary left and right, but also has a clickable left and right, up and down. So it's a complete D-pad. So as you can see here, at the moment it's default auto horn, but you can select this to move about your car. So for instance, on the default Yaris, going up on the right hand stick, which is resume your cruise control, down is to set your cruise control. So now that's exactly how it is on the default car. On the side of the wheel, you've got another rotary encoder, which goes up, down, left and right, and I think also clicks in. There is just so many buttons on this thing. So yeah, again, we can set those for cruise controls or other ones. The other buttons that we've got, these are the same, and the same on the other side, but we've got these momentary switches. So these ones here, as you can see, when I click this, it will momentarily click back to the center position. So that's good for, say, something like a flash or something similar. You can see it does the same going up. Now the other side, you can see it also does a momentary, but you can also click in on them. So these again, if we go to the app, we can select this and we can see momentary click up or click down, and we can set, let's say, volume up and volume down, and then we hit, in fact, we'll have red as well on there, and we'll go save, and that's now turned that LED red as well on there. So this you can play with to your heart's content, I suppose. Play with it. If you don't like it, go back to the app and change it up. You can also do multiple profiles. So if you want a track profile with maybe you don't want multimedia controls because you don't want to accidentally press anything, and you want a daytime profile, that's also possible as well. That's pretty badass. And as you can see, you can go back. This now works just the same as a normal D-pad, like a games controller. We can go through all the car systems. The one that you use the least is MPG, but you need to know your boost and your tyre pressures. Spot on. So you can do, so I've got volume, everything working as expected. Spot on.
Right, so it's been an hour.
Yeah, literally like 59 minutes. I think we got it in under 59 minutes.
So how long did it actually take and how was it?
It took a couple of hours, and I think that was because we was doing all the troubleshooting. We was trying to figure out between instructions and photos that we've been given exactly how and what goes where. It's also we were figuring out all the routing of any of the wiring. I know on the FL5 it was just plug and play. There's only one extra wire, but without any kind of knowledge of where that's going, it takes that a little bit of time and a little bit of troubleshooting, which, yeah, I think if you go and watch this video, you could probably do this in about an hour, hour and a half, honestly. Now we've figured all that out. It took us a bit longer just because of that troubleshooting, and we're filming, so it always takes a little bit longer.
So obviously all the bits that you've had to troubleshoot today,
Yeah.
they've been fed back to Zestek, and Zestek are going to include that, like first fuse and run another meter, aren't they?
Yeah. So we just had to extend the cable. It looks like it was designed for a left-hand drive car where the fuse box would be on the same size. So yeah, a bit longer cable and that adapter there. If they can bundle that into it, spot on. I think they respond and listen to feedback, which is always great.
Exactly. Obviously, this is like, you know, one of the first kits kind of thing for the GR Yaris. So any improvements and stuff that we can help them with, they'll listen to, and it'll be done. So if you're watching this in a year's time, then some of the things that you may have seen, which are quite difficult, probably been addressed, and
yeah, even
you're not
easier.
run into it. So here's your wheel.
Yeah.
What do you think to it? Obviously, you put it in and put the lights on it. And
wow, I think that makes a big difference. Tegiwa printed a nice little sticker there. Apparently, if you put Dave's name on any orders, he'll print you a sticker.
Apparently so.
Tegiwa printed us a sticker there, so nice little GR logo on there. Looks fantastic. OMP are an amazing brand on there. And the way it lights up, you've got so many options. Like we've got yellow and red here. You could go for red and black, red and white, yellow and yellow. There's plenty of combinations there to do. Quality of the product though is absolutely fantastic. Like build quality. I've been from a sim racing community. You notice when there's a bit of flex in the steering wheel, that's something that you're gripping onto. And when there's a bit of flex, you just don't feel connected to it. And that little voice in the back of your brain goes, what's going on here? But this is built so nicely. The hub goes on there. I know some people may say there's quite a big distance there. There is actually some adjustment. So there's a few screws on the back here. It's all in the guide on the Zestek website, but you can loosen these and basically pivot these closer to the wheel. So if you did want to get the paddles closer to the wheel, that's perfectly doable as well. But yeah, really impressed, really impressed.
So all that's left to do now is for you to go and drive it and
Give it some.
Put these stickers on.
Yeah.
Code them all in. I guess the magic is that you can play around with it over a few days and work out what's...
Yeah, I think on the face of the GR Yaris button, steering wheel, it's probably about 10 buttons or so, maybe a few more. You've got more buttons than you know what to do there. So customization is through the roof. You can do whatever you want, get things exactly how you want, which I think is great.
Finally, thank you to Zestek Racing for giving us one of these kits, and thank you to Tino for coming down. Where can people find you, Tino?
Yeah, so I'm on YouTube, FaithlessEmo Racing. We do a lot of GR Yaris content as well as sim racing. So every modification to this has been catalogued and collected on there. Worked with you guys a couple of times, and it's always good fun coming down here. Great place to be. So yeah, same on Instagram if you want to catch us on there as well.
Yeah, and Tino is the man with the GR Yaris now, so if there's anything else that you want to see, they're still bringing out new parts, especially with the new Yaris that's just come out. So yeah, anything you want to see, hit us up, hit Tino up, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.
Goodbye.